I know my parents loved me. Stand behind me, come what may. I know now that I'm ready.
Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue our game design adventure with creating a space adventure. So we'll talk a little bit about frame-based animation, which is how we make our characters, our actors move across the stage. And also we'll learn a little bit about how to add sound to a video game, and also some other concepts such as loops, which help things repeat over and over again. So again, if we have something, we want a sound to continue to play, or if we want characters or other things, other aspects of our game to keep moving throughout the game, we'll use a code block called a loop. So our first concept is changing X and Y. This makes your actor move across the screen. The change X will move your actor left and right. If you add a minus sign, it'll make your actor move to the left. Now the minus sign is located right next to the 0 key on your keyboard, all right? If you use the change Y by pixels block, this will move your actor up and down. In the same way, if you add a minus sign, which is right next to 0, it will make your actor move down. The number inside here, the 10 pixels, depends on how much you want your character to move. So 10 pixels will make it kind of move normal speed. If you wanted to move further across the screen, you can increase or decrease the number of, decrease the number here. Again, if you wanted to move left, you're going to add that minus sign. If you wanted to move down, you also have to add a minus sign. Our second concept is animation, and we change animation by using this next costume block. Each actor in Tinker in your game design program has several costumes, and if you continue to repeat those costumes over and over again, it makes your actor look like it's moving across the screen, or just moving or dancing like we used yesterday. You'll use this repeat or loop here to make your actor keep moving. So they'll keep changing costumes over and over again, which will give the appearance of your actor moving. This is the same way that animators make characters move in cartoons, okay? You want to use this wait block underneath the next costume to slow down or to speed up movement with your character. Last but not least, we have what we call our repeat or our loop blocks. If you want something to repeat forever, as long as your game is running, such as sound, you want to use a forever block, which is this one here. This will help whatever code commands you put inside of this block, it will run the entire time that your game is playing or that your program is running. This loop is called a numbered loop. So you'll add a number here, and it will have a specific number of times that the program will repeat. So an example where you might use this is if you're playing a game and you click something, you want a sound to repeat. Say you're firing a rocket and you want it to repeat 3 times. You would add that sound block inside here and type a 3 so that your program knows when you click the rocket, you want that firing sound to repeat 3 times. So here we're going to review some of the concepts that you guys will use in creating your own space adventure. The first couple of lessons will go through and help you guys get used to using those change X and Y blocks, and also some of the animation blocks that are in the lesson. All right. So here we're going to go through this first, our concepts and our mini lesson that Tinker gives us. But I wanted to share this with you guys so I can kind of talk you through some of the things. But then you can also review this. This will be the first level when you guys access activity number 2. All right. All right, so we're going to review this time some basic motion and animation concepts. So motion, of course, and animation are very important in a video game because this is how the game takes place. Okay, you need to have a character or whatever actor. And remember, actor doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It can actually be anything that's on the screen that's not part of the background. So it could be a spaceship, it can be an animal, anything that you add based upon the type of game. So in this case, you'll be dealing with a lot of rockets and things of that sort because we're talking about a space game. Okay. All right, so we'll go through the 3 basic concepts that you'll talk about, and you can also review these. Like I said, this will be lesson 1. As you click these 3 blocks, it'll go back through the lesson. So if you need to review it again, you can either rewatch the video, or as you're in Tinker, you can go back to lesson 1. All right. Also, as a helpful thing for those friends that had a problem with sound yesterday, if you click the 3 dots, you have to remember to turn your sound on. okay? That will make sure, so that way if you're doing something with sound, you can hear it, all right? So our first concept is change X and Y. So we change X and Y blocks by moving an actor a certain number of steps to the left and right, or top and bottom. An actor's X and Y positions determine where they are on the stage. So if you think of it as a grid, up and down is Y, left and right is X, okay? So when we want to move those actors, those number of pixels, we want to either put a minus sign if we want our actor to go left. We also use a minus sign if we want our actor to go down, and we just add that by typing the minus sign, which is next to your 0 key, in front of the number in the little bubble. Okay, so this negative 682 is the left edge. So you notice that negative number, again, the minus sign if you move to the left. 682 is the right edge. So that's the frame of your game, okay? And 0, of course, is the middle. The Y position is top to bottom. 384 is the top of the stage, 0 is the middle, and negative 384, again, it's just the minus sign in front of the 384, is the bottom. You want to use a positive number, which just means you type the number as normal. So if I want to go up 10 pixels, I just type the regular number 10 to move the actor up. I'm sorry, to move the actor to the right. So this is X. All right. Now if I use that same number and I put a minus sign in front of that 10, let's see what happens. So we see our actor moves to the left by that certain number, whatever number is inside of this little bubble here. Okay. Use a positive number for the change in Y to move the actor toward the top of the stage. So here when we click, our actor is going to move up 20 pixels. All right. And again, if we want our actor to move down, we're going to add a negative number here. Okay. So now we talked a little bit about the repeat blocks. Now, so if I add this inside of a forever or repeat block, it'll make the actor seem like it's moving constantly, either up, down, or across the stage. An example where you would use this is in a spaceship game. If you have enemies that you want your spaceship to avoid, you want those enemies to keep moving throughout the game. So I would take this if I wanted my, what's the spaceship in Star Wars, whoever the bad guys were, if I want them to keep moving up and down so that my character has to avoid it, I'm going to add a change Y and put it inside of a forever loop. Okay. And again, that's just something you want to repeat over and over again. All right. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about costumes and animation. So this is how we would this is an example of an actor. So if we want him to move over and over again, we're going to add these pictures here. All right. So here's our little fuzzy character guy. And each picture of the actor is called a costume. Okay. So each actor has several different pictures. And if you add them one behind the other, they will make it seem as if it's moving. Right? You can use a code block to switch between costumes and make a character look like it's moving. This is called animation. So we notice Cody is blinking. So each time he opens and closes his eyes, we've programmed it so that we're using one picture of him or one costume of him with his eyes open and one costume of him with his eyes closed. And we put that inside a next costume button to change it from left to right. So we look here, each time I click the actor, it's switching from next costume to next costume. All right. And last but not least, we have what we're going to talk about some code blocks, loops specifically. Okay, so here we have this block. So the orange block is telling us when we want this to happen. So when the actor is clicked, it should start playing the sci-fi music. We use this forever block, and we know that forever means it's going to play the entire time the program is going. All right. So the forever loop will run the code. Anything inside of this loop, it will run it for the rest of the program. All right. The play sound block tells the actor to play a sound. So this block is telling, when we click it, it's telling it to, when we click our guy here, we want it to repeat over and over again until the game ends. All right, so we test this out. We'll click here. Okay, so now we know that, and this is going to play the entire time of the program. All right, now here, that's similar to the forever block, is the repeat loop. So now this time, if we want a sound to play a certain number of times, we use this block. All right, so now if we're going to do this, this chase sound will play 3 times. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into trying some of the puzzles, and then you guys will go into some independent practice. All right, in our first activity, we're going to practice some basic motion and animation concepts. We're going to program our comet to move across our screen. We also want our planets to appear. Now, what we also going to learn about today, and this one is how to make an actor or something on our screen appear or disappear. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play the example. Okay, this is essentially what we want to happen there. So again, we need to program our comet to move across the screen, and also those planets to appear and to explode when when the comet touches them. Okay, so that is an example of an event when something happens when another part of our computer program occurs. All right, so again, our tutorial is always here. So if you guys ever get stuck, there's always directions here that will help you guys go through and go back and debug your program in case you run into some problems. All right, so we're going to use the next costume block to animate actors, and use the when event occurs and touching actor blocks to trigger animation. So that's how we'll make our comet appear to make the planets explode. All right, any of the blocks that you ever need are always right inside this tutorial. So you just literally will drag them. If they're in this black box, you'll just drag them into the code. Okay, so first direction, we're going to add the point in direction 90 degrees, which means our comet will appear and move this way. And we're going to add this forever loop because we want it to continue to move across our screen. Okay, so the entire time our game is playing, we want that comet moving. All right, we're going to have it move from the left. So we want it to move right. So we're going to use a positive number of pixels. Okay, we're going to have our comet move 10 pixels forever to the right. Okay, now we talked a little bit about in animation. We use animation by using all of the different costumes. So the way we tell our computer that we want the costume to repeat over and over again is we add that next costume block. Okay, so this will switch through the different costumes of our comet so it appears to move across the screen. All right, and so that those movements aren't jumbled up and it looks natural, we're going to use a wait 0.5 seconds. Now, if you want your comet to move slower, you're going to make this number bigger. So if I make this 1 second, it'll make my comet move a little bit slower. If I make it smaller, so go back to 0.5, now my comet's going to move a little bit faster. Okay, so now we want to make sure our planets show when they go. So we have our planet here. Sorry, get rid of that so you can see. So we have our planet Venus. So on start, we're going to have Venus show. So we just are going to click. I'll go ahead and get rid of those. All right, we want to switch to costume Venus. And I'll just do it so you can see again, I'm dragging right from here. All right, now Coach Hicks already went through these. So we told us when the comet occurs, we want our planet to explode. Okay, so I'm going to use that repeat block. I don't want the planet to keep exploding. I just want to do it 8 times. So I'm going to put that next costume block in here, wait 0.5 seconds, and once it's done, then I want that planet to disappear. Okay, so we're going to go through 8 explosion costumes of the planet, and then the planet is going to hide. So that way, once it looks like the planet has been blown up. Okay, so now it wants us to add another actor. Okay, so we want to have 2 planets. And to make it a little bit easier, we can click the 3 dots and click duplicate. Okay, all right, so now we want to go here. We want to change the planet up just a little bit. Okay, and we want to move this to the right. So we're going to scoot it over. Okay. All right, so now we want to add costume. to make it a different planet. So I'm going to go down to space. And then we can choose a different planet that we may want to use. Okay. So now here, we're going to use the same thing because we've duplicated it. Okay. Now we need to add this and change it to planet 4. Okay. Now, if I play it, I need to move my purple planet over a little bit more. Okay, as you notice when it's coming back over, and now we'll explode the next one. Okay, when you're done, you're going to go ahead and click stop and minimize it. Now, what I tell people to do, you want to make sure that you save after each level. Okay, and then when you save, you're going to click publish to community. I would add my name here so we can give you some props. Now, don't use my name. You want to make sure you're typing yours. I'm just giving you guys an example. And then save and publish so you don't lose your work. All right, and that's lesson 1. You guys can play back the video as many times in case you have questions. And remember, if you run into, you can email Coach Hicks if you need some more assistance. All right, so once you finish the last couple of levels, you guys will work on creating your own video game. This will be your last project that you guys will submit. Okay, so what you want to do is you'll program your code so that you'll end up coding a game that looks like this. Now, if you can't get all the concepts and figure out time and score, that's fine. The main thing is we want to make sure that we have our enemies moving across the stage and that our spaceship is programmed to turn up, down, left, and right when you touch it. Okay, and you see you'll program the different when it touches the comment that the spaceship, the game was over, and you'll learn how to do that in all the various levels. Okay, so when you go through again, using the tutorial will be helpful in getting you guys through things. So you want to make sure you change the background and music. You'll change your actors. You'll add a code to your enemy characters. So this will make your enemy characters, the comet and the other spaceships, move back and forth or up and down across the screen. And you also will add code to your bonus characters. So like when your spaceship hits these power cells, that the computer knows to have it collect points. Okay. Now you'll go through the first part. I'll walk you guys through. We're going to add background and music. So we'll click the stage and we'll click the gear icon. We want to add a background. Okay. So if you want to keep the background the same, you can. I'll change it. Okay. We want to delete this one. All right, so to add music, we're going to click the stage's actor gear and click where it says add sound. Okay, and you can decide whatever music that you guys want to add to your to your code. Okay, you can test it out to see whichever music you like. If you decide you don't like that one, you can click here. You can also check it out before by pressing the play button. Okay, you want to think about something that is space-wise. So I'm going to click fantasy or find space and see if they have music that will fit my activity better. Okay, so there's no sounds for space, it looks like. Okay. Okay, so I like this one. I'm going to click here to add this. Okay, so now when I press play, my character should move. Okay. So if I press the play button, okay, now I have to tell it I want it to play. So you see it's not playing yet because we haven't put in any code. So again, we have to remember that computers don't just play things on its own. You have to actually put in the actual blocks to tell the computer, okay, now I've given you the sound to play. Now it's time to play it, all right? So we'll add this into our stage. And now we're going to click, and there's the music that we downloaded. Okay. So now, if we click, now our music will play throughout the duration of our game. Okay. So the next couple of steps will teach you guys how to add actors and how to make those different parts of your game work. Now you can be as creative as you like. Again, if you run into any questions or problems, again, Coach Hicks is here to help walk you guys through it. But if you go through all of the lessons and you make sure you pay attention to the tutorials, all of these concepts are covered in the lessons before. All right. So the tutorial, make sure that you read the directions here. And oftentimes the blocks that you need will be over in this area. Okay. Again, if you run into any questions or concerns after that, email Coach Hicks at stepcoach1914@gmail.com, and we will schedule a time to meet today on our Google Meets. All right. Happy coding.